It's a true belief in community, a true faith in people, and the knowledge of the fact that the fashion industry is the second most polluting industry in the world, right after oil, and the fact that there are 3 million people working in the fashion industry, and many, many more than we would like to admit, in working in unsafe conditions, working under forced labor, working for 13 cents a day. And this is just something that is so heartbreaking to me that it's literally my life purpose to fight against it.
This episode of Grounded in Maine is sponsored by ESG Review. ESG Review magazine is published quarterly in February, May, August, and November and is available for free in print and digital formats. ESG Review is devoted to environmental, social, and governance strategies, technologies, and investments. ESGreview.net is updated every Wednesday with 8 new stories and is home to feature articles, news items, and more. Visit esgreview.net to stay informed and help us spark the collaboration and awareness needed to develop sustainable economies and communities around the world.
There's a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Grounded in Maine podcast is an open conversation about how we show up for the world. I started this podcast out of a desire to learn new ways to be sustainable because the word sustainability is big. It can be overwhelming, and I just wanted to learn, different ways to try to be part of the solution and not feel like it's too late. So I'm talking to people who are doing different things and learning so much. I hope you are too. Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Fagan, and I have a very special guest today. Her name is Victoria Scholz, and I'm going to have her say it also because I am not German, as anyone who's German can hear. But Victoria is here from the House of Dodos, which is her brand, and we are going to talk about the fashion world. So, Victoria, thank you so much. We've already been talking, so I'm very excited to bring this message out. Thank you so much.
Honestly, you're the most pleasurable host I've ever had, and I'm honestly so happy to be here. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. So thank you so much for having me.
And how do you say your last name?
It's actually Scholz, but it's just German, and that's fine.
It's just German. Well, anyway, so Victoria is in the fashion world. She has her own brand, but we are talking about sustainable fashion because she has personal and professional experience in that. And I want to hear more about this because we were talking about a couple of things that I was just like, this is like, there are things that definitely need to change. There are things that are just horrendous. But I first, I just wanted to bring out, so in Victoria's guest form, she said the message that she wanted people to come away with was together we can change fashion, and through fashion we can change the world. And that just hit me really hard as someone who doesn't really care about fashion, but also cares about what everyone else is wearing. But that is just, I'm curious how that, I know you just like patted your heart, but where does that come from?
It's a true belief in community, a true faith in people, and the knowledge of the fact that the fashion industry is the second most polluting industry in the world, right after oil, and the fact that there are 3 million people working in the fashion industry, and many, many more than we would like to admit, in working in unsafe conditions, working under forced labor, working for 13 cents a day. And this is just something that is so heartbreaking to me that it's literally my life purpose to fight against it. And I believe that together we can, because I know that alone I'm just not able. I can shop sustainably or act sustainably my entire life, and it will never make as big as an impact as if we come together. And I believe in people, and I believe that we truly can change the world with fashion.
Oh my gosh. And we say so often, and it's just so true that we vote with our dollars. Like if you know that something is, not right, just don't buy it. And we need to show these companies that are, they're just taking advantage of people, and we just need to show them that we don't support that.
Absolutely. And if you just think about it, it's just wrong in so many levels, literally, you know. And I understand the amazement of having very cheap clothes, and a large amount of it and trying to be on trend. But the very truth is that you will never be able to be on trend long enough because we have a trend every single week. There are studies that show that big companies have new collections every week, and especially with the giants that you know their names,
Mhm.
um, are coming up quite forcefully currently. They're having new collection every single day. They're producing 6,000 new clothes and styles every single day. You will never be able to win that battle. And I think the problem with buying into it is not just trying to have this psychology battle of trying to be good enough, trying to be in trend, but the problem is that you're actually supporting. Yes, I don't care how you treat your workers. Yes, I don't care if how you treat the environment. Yes, I support you exploiting workers and exploiting the environment at the cost for cheap fashion. And I don't mean to be rude in any kind of way, but that's essentially what we're saying while buying into it. And that's the memo that the companies get. We only care about profit. You only care about profit. Wonderful. We're a great team.
Mm, yes. Yes. I mean, it's that, once we understand, once we know, that's true. Like you're by spending your money there, you're saying, I'm okay with this.
I
And I
agree.
support that. Oof.
Yeah.
And
And
that's really hard.
and that's why I'm saying, like my intention is never to be rude, is never to hurt someone's feeling, is never to make someone feel bad. That is absolutely not the reason why I'm here and today and doing podcasts. The reason I'm here today is because I believe in the good of people. I believe that people have good hearts, and I believe that if people just know, they won't do it. Because I believe that essentially with all our differences, we all very deep in ourselves, we know we are all humans. We're all skin and blood. We all cry and we all laugh and we're all someone's daughter, sister, husband, whatever. But we're all human. We're all family. And for me, the biggest turning point in my life was when I asked my boss, a fashion designer, how do my colleagues work? And I figured out that those colleagues were actually sitting in Bangladesh in Rana Plaza that collapsed 2015 and 1,000 people died. So that I'm still getting goosebumps. It's crazy. But for me, it's just because I was lucky enough to be born in Germany with an amazing family and parents that I will love more than everything. Just because I was lucky enough to be born in that place and not somewhere else in the place, I get to live the life that I lead. And if I was just another girl born in India, born in whatever kind of country, because we have a lot, we're also producing in Africa, in Myanmar, Vietnam, we're doing a lot of damage in a lot of countries. But if I was just not lucky enough to be born somewhere else, I would be that woman right now.
Mm,
And that just changed everything for me.
yeah. Oh my gosh. And it's so conflicting, sort of like I don't want to support I definitely don't want to support that treatment, but at the same time, if we're not, so this is just something like that goes on in my head. I don't want to support that treatment, but at the same time, like if they had some money, is that better than no money? Like if they have to shut the factories down, I just I just don't understand the depth of it, I think, the depth of the abuse. Um, so I just wonder, like, is you were saying like 13 cents a day, like, is that better than zero? Um, oh gosh, it's just it's so tragic.
Because I was really going into depth with the entire process, and I was really wondering, how is it possible? And I watched a lot of interviews, and it's actually quite possible, right? Because on YouTube you have all the documentaries. Just like one of the most shocking documentaries for me was The True Cost of Fashion. I watch it every single year because I will just not allow myself to forget. And the thing is that he made it extremely clear. He was just like, if you Western brands come to me and demand that I produce a t-shirt for $3, and if I don't accept that offer, and if I don't pay my workers that little, because how can I pay my workers a lot of money when the entire garment has to be ready in €3 with fabric, stitches, details, working hours? It's just not possible to pay my workers more, even if I would like to. But if I don't accept the offer of producing a t-shirt for €3, then you just go to the next one who's actually able to willing to do it, and then I go out of business. So that's essentially the problem. And also, there was one moment that will forever stick to me where you had this amazing factory with beautiful filter systems and all of that, but they didn't have the money to turn those filter systems on. So the entire wastewater and chemicals literally went straight, literally directly into the fields of the farmer who was next to it. So the entire vegetables, cows, animals, literally also the people eating either the vegetables and the animals, or even just drinking the water that is, just available to them. It will kill them slowly but surely. But if he stops going out of business, he will kill them directly because they have no chance of surviving without any money. And the problem is that I a lot of times get the argument, yes, but shouldn't they be happy that we're giving them work? The problem is, if you look into it, a woman in that scenario has two options: either sell her body or her hands, and by suing. And then I ask you the question, are we really heroes because we're saving a woman not to prostitute herself but to work with for 13 cents a day? Are we really doing, and the problem is that I've gone into it quite deeply, and I actually realized that the power that we have as a brand is to work together with the workers' right movement at the place. So for especially in Bangladesh, in India, there is a workers' right movement that are actually protesting for the government to raise the minimum wage. And that's the only chance we have to actually change something, because if they raise the minimum wage, then the Western brands can't fight that, you know? But currently they're just taking advantage of the fact that the minimum wage in those countries is so extremely low. So they're just like, that's not my problem. It's their minimum wage. I'm just
Right.
paying what they. So it's a whole construct that is behind that.
So hard. Oh my gosh. And then so on that, I mean, I don't want to dismiss that as like not important because it is so important. I just want to make sure that we hit on some really big things. I know this is a heavy one and this is a lot for people, but I mean I've literally seen people say, I got this so cheap on Amazon and or you can buy seven of them. You can buy one in every color on Shein and stuff like that. And then knowing what's happening on that end. Um, and I'm going to sound really dumb because I'm not educated on that. It's not something that I have looked a lot into, but we were talking also about denim and jeans because that is something that I wear. I don't wear expensive jeans, but that's probably that's part of the problem. I refuse to pay a lot, but I also I didn't understand. I assumed that because it was like denim actually used to be cotton and it's not really cotton anymore. And you were telling me before we started recording just how bad the process has become. So can you, because I was like, denim is standard. Everyone wears it, and that's like my go-to. But can you talk about denim a little bit?
Absolutely. First of all, I want you to know you never sound dumb. Just the fact that you're curious and ask questions makes you absolutely outstanding personality. With denim, the problem we have with denim is that Denim is actually a very old garment, right? So we have like the whole Japanese tradition around denim, and they really cherish that because you have the cotton plant and then you dye it in indigo, and it's a very long process. So it used to be something quite sacred, to be fair, and still now it's the most famous garment that we have. The only problem that became a problem is the look of it, because we wanted washed, we wanted ripped, we want the whiskers, so the, like the lines on around the waist, yeah. So everything that is altered, because you need to understand every denim pant used to be extremely dark blue. If you just have the cotton garment and you dye it in the indigo, it's almost black. So dark blue is it. And everything that makes this dark blue lighter is the thing that comes in with the sandpaper. And the problem is that people used to just scratch the denim with sandpaper in order to create those lines that makes it look like it's used. And the problem is they used to do it without any sort of mask. So this sand got into their lungs and slowly but surely killed them. And then we have other ways, but every time we edit a denim to make it look used, that's when the chemicals come in, and that's when the heavy procedure comes in, and that's where the toxicity starts. And the problem is also that cotton, upsettingly enough, is the most polluting raw material that we can possibly use, simply because for one denim we need around 1,000 liters of water, because the cotton plant is just extremely thirsty. We need a lot of pesticides and fertilizers in order to grow the cotton plant. So we just have a lot of raw materials, and we have a lot of chemicals that even starts at the raw material extractions. But on good news, we realized that problem, and that's why we have organic cotton. That's why we have responsible agriculture, because the problem used to be that we would be so heavy on the chemical use in the raw material that we could not even use the soil afterwards anymore. We would pollute the groundwater with the chemicals, and we could not use the soil because the soil would just be dead afterwards. So it's really nice that we're starting to find creative solutions, how to have a responsible cotton manufacturing. And also with the denim, I told you about Guess, and I would really like to go in depth with it, because I've just been at a fair. It's Pitti Uomo in Florence. It's a big fair where they had a huge building where they actually showed their new innovation. So one thing that they're doing is, instead of sandpaper and and scraping and all of that, they're actually using lasers. What is amazing, because it's way faster. It doesn't really affect the body at all, because it's literally just like a huge washing machine, if you want to think of it that way. And you're literally just having a laser, and you type in the garment, the design on a display, so it can literally laser flowers or water drops, or even the well-known whiskers and the well-known washed effect. And with just the laser, they can go up to 10 levels higher of blue. So they can do almost a white denim, because you always need to think a denim always starts dark blue, right? So the more lighter it gets, the more chemicals you normally have. But with the laser technology, you're actually able to do all of that in a very safe and environmentally friendly way. They also use enzymes, which is extremely interesting. So it's basically a form of bacteria that is eating up the denim, but it's still way more sustainable and responsible, especially when it comes to the human health, than doing it by hand and chemicals. So that's actually also very interesting. And then they also have a new way of washing, where they use just, I think, 10% of the water that it would normally take to wash the denim and to dry, right? So I'm really, really happy. They also have this new thing that all the embroideries that are on a denim are only made with recycled polyester fibers. So I'm really, really happy to see, honestly, that they're doing so much good, and they're really investing into technology. And I honestly think that will be the next step for the fashion industry, to really invest into technology, innovation. We have so many new opportunities also with artificial intelligence. So I truly believe that this is the next step that really bring a sustainable future for the fashion industry, because one has to be fair, since the industrial revolution, where we found to get the sewing machine, the industry doesn't really have changed, right? So it's quite an old industry if we're very fair, right? So I think that there are a lot of new innovations coming up that will actually solve a lot of those issues.
Wow, technology. It's just it's amazing to me, and to hear about the process of denim jeans is just it's heartbreaking, really. And I think about when you were talking about the chemicals and the sandpaper and stuff, I was just thinking I never wore those things because I was like, I want them to last longer. But the acid washed jean, like that acid washed look, man, and this is sort of like why I'm doing this podcast, honestly. And I've said this many times before, but like I grew up in the 80s when Guess jeans were so popular. Maybe it was 90s, I don't know, but like, the more worn the jeans looked, the more cool you were. And it was just everywhere. And so now, look at us now. So I'm like, this is sort of my way to give back, and see if I can make up for, the damage that has been done. But like just to educate people, like, we have done this in the past and look at where we are. Like we need to do better. And so Guess jeans, I love that because I have not heard of Guess jeans in so many years. And so the fact that they're, one, still around, and two, coming back with like a sustainable process, is very exciting. And I hope that it's not going to be, too super expensive so that people can support them.
Yeah, actually, it's so beautiful, and the thing is, what I actually love about denim is still the most durable garment that we have in the fashion industry. So the fact is, a denim is a good purchase, to be fair, because you can have it for long. And I think that's what the most important thing that people need to understand. Sustainability comes the moment you decide to wear your garment for a long time. That's actually the most sustainable thing we can do, because the problem with fast fashion is not only the fast pace that we produce, but also, and most importantly, the fast pace that we're throwing away.
Mm.
That's the actual damage done, because there's so many garments with polyester, and we all know that because it's just the cheapest raw material. But the problem with polyester is the moment you put it on a landfill, I mean, it sheds microplastic every time you wash it. We know that. But the moment you put it on a landfill, it will literally last over 200 years to biodegrade. And while doing that, it emits methane gas that is 25% more potent than CO2. So it slowly but surely destroys our environment just by laying there. And that's the point. The point is not even buying. The point is, what do you do with that garment? For example, I adore the blazers of my grandfather. Like I'm literally wearing the wardrobe of my grandparents and of my aunties and all the people, around me, like my ancestors who honestly also have passed away and gave me their garments.
Mm.
And I adore that because currently I think I'm wearing a blazer that's probably like 50, 60 years old. And it still looks amazing because they took care of it. They cherished it. They valued it. And I will not throw this away. And my daughter will probably have to live in it at some point. I'm honest. But because why? A blazer never got out of style. A denim will never go out of style. But what I thought is so beautiful, especially when it comes to denim, there's a whole movement, and they call themselves the purists. And they actually buy raw denim and they make their scratches themselves because they say, I want the denim to show my story. I want the denim to tell where do my knees are, where is my whiskers when I sit down in my waist,
Right.
how do I like scratch my thighs when I don't know, like I just came from washing my hands or something. um my denim will tell that I always have my phone in the back pocket, and it will show. So I kind of love this whole idea of creating your own, and literally wearing a denim until it falls apart. And you also, especially when it comes to denim, you have a lot of repair and refurbish programs. I think it's with Levi's is starting to do something like that, and a lot of brands are actually, so you gave them your denim because you can just not wear it, it's falling apart, and they will give you a discount for your new purchase, or they will help you repair it, Or, so it's really all about prolonging the lifespan of a garment, because we all know we already have landfills full of old clothing, and that's what we really need to stop. We really need to stop just throwing our clothes away and just keep on buying new things. That is, in its definition, the most unsustainable and toxic thing you can possibly do with fashion. It's really about the way we treat fashion that's making the difference.
Right. Oh my gosh. I love that there are those like buyback programs and and repairing, because I know myself personally, I blow out the thighs in my jeans like
Oh,
so
same. Oh,
fast. And like the rest of my jeans are in perfect shape. And so that's, if there is a way to like send them in and get them patched and sent back or something like that, like I've already broken them in, they fit me perfectly. I hate to have to look for that again.
absolutely.
But I love that there's that option. And so you're saying Levi is doing that?
I think so. Or also we have like Kandiani denim. Kandiani denim actually did something absolutely amazing. They invented a denim that, because in most denim you have some sort of stretch element, right?
Mhm.
Because like we have this whole thing of skinny jeans, and they obviously need to be stretchy, right? Then we have leggings that look like a jeans, but they're actually leggings. So we also have like a lot of polyester in the whole process, that is unfortunately the most toxic raw material we could possibly use. But they found an amazing natural, like biodegradable material that acts like stretch, but is actually biodegradable, natural. So what they did is they actually had all their old denim, and they shredded them and used them for fertilizer in their agriculture project, and they actually fertilized tomato plants with that, and now they have their own tomato sauce. And I adore that. It's
That's
literally all
amazing.
tomato sauce. And that's why I'm saying that there are innovations out there. You just need to find them, and they're honestly like obviously making it public, right? So they are talking about it, because obviously like that kind of investment needs to pay out. So I think if you really just look for it, you will definitely find it.
Mm, I love that. That's so fun. And so I think that, it sounds like we need to be more mindful about our purchases and do some research. And so this is really helpful to know that there are companies, there are people that are that are they're working for us. And we just need to know who they are and make sure that they're doing right, I guess. And because that landfill situation is just horrible.
Yeah. Also, because I understand that a lot of people, it really matters to them to be on trend. And that's the reason why they purchase new, even if maybe their old denim is still perfectly fine, but they want the new. So what I think is the most beautiful thing, if you see people getting creative. For example, right now, especially when it comes to denim, we have this whole trend of like crystallized denim, what I think is so funny. So you have like all those little, sparkling Swarovski stones on a denim, or you have pearls on a denim, and that's like super on trend right now. And I just wonder, how about just doing a girls' day, buying, some crystals, and just having a fun day and just do it yourself. Really just taking an old pair of jeans that you're just bored with and you would normally throw away, but you can do it at home yourself, because it's really, I mean, what is it about? It's really about like gluing some stones on a jeans. And you can either have some people do it for you, what know is easier, but how fun would it be just to do it yourself? You can reuse an old garment and still be on trend. So I think it's also just a matter of creativity and just trying.
Right? Do you remember the bedazzler?
The bedazzler, is that a guy?
You don't remember the bedazzler. No, it was very much that what you're talking about. Like you could put like rhinestones or beads or something like that, like just make things fancy. And that was a big thing in maybe the 90s. I don't know. But
That's
but
all.
now, yeah. And I see on like Instagram Reels, people are patching holes and stuff with like embroidery and creating like flowers or a star pattern or something like that. And I think that's super fun to make it cool to make things last longer.
It's beautiful. It's really all about creativity, honestly. you know. If we would just look at the old clothes that we normally would throw away and just look at it, or just have really just like a girls party or whatever, and or just like a day with Netflix, you know, and just like, okay, I have those old clothes, what do I do with them? Do I paint them? Do I spray them? Do I graffiti them? Do I bedazzle them? Do I pearl them? What do I do, you know? And honestly, there's such a sense of pride and true joy when you feel like you're your own designer and you can just create your own garments, and there's nothing more personal, and then this old thing that you just wanted to throw away suddenly becomes your most prized possession because you did it yourself, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So there's a lot of potential for magic here, to be honest.
Totally, totally. I mean, I love when to be able to make things last longer. I had a podcast guest a year-ish ago, Megan, and we were talking about how cool it would be to like celebrate when you can make things last longer. Like instead of, oh, you got something new, blah, blah, blah. Nope, congrats, that's 30 years old. You've had that sweater forever. And just patching it and stuff like that. And instead of being like, I am so hip, like I made this last forever.
No, that's so cool. Like I'm actually talking to some people right now because in Germany we have this show. It's called Shopping Queen, and it's really about like buying new clothes for to match a theme, right? So I was thinking about how cool would it be to have like an upcycling queen, you know, just to have like some people coming together and they all have a challenge, like here's an old denim, make it cool, you know, or make it fancy, or do your thing, right? And then just like to have like a sort of casting or whatever, like, you know, so to really just like to promote the entire idea that it's not the coolest thing to just go out and shop because you have a budget, and you know, congratulations, you made it, you know, to have an outfit in that budget. And honestly, I was part of it because I was trying to, you know, like shop sustainably and like promote the sustainable brands in my city, you know, and kind of just like take the camera into the sustainable shop, right? So I was trying to
Right.
make it, but I would think that would be the coolest, you know, just really to promote that and to celebrate it, and to really put some glory on it, you know, because
Absolutely.
that we're all to some extent we're just tired. We're tired of the shopping hauls. I don't want to see that you just bought 50 new clothes. No, I'm tired, you know?
Right. We
And
need to change what the definition of cool means in
absolutely,
fashion,
absolutely.
for sure. I mean, I had another podcast guest who Dita is she thrifts clothes a lot, and she actually does thrifted style bundles. So you can order a bundle from her and it's all thrifted, and it's very cool.
No, I'm such a thrift fan. Honestly, I'm such a thrift fan because there are some moments. I'm honest. You know, I'm not perfect. You know, sometimes I have a bad day, and I'm like, you know what? I need that right now.
The
I want to.
retail therapy.
Yes, I'm still human, right? But there are so amazing thrift shops, especially in Florence, but also in Germany. Like thrift shop are really coming up, right? And then I find, you know, like maybe a dress from the 80s, and I'm just adoring the shoulder pads, you know, and I'm just like, yes, you know, and it's long because like mini skirts that it could never possibly wear because it started to fit in it, you know, they were not on trend, but you had like, you know, bold shoulders, and you had like the dynasty era, and I'm like, yes, I'm living for it, you
I'm
know.
here for it.
So that's what I'm saying, you know, and that's also like the definition of style for me, and being cool for me. Being cool is being unique, is being yourself, and
Right.
not, you know, someone who's like walking publicity for some brands. But
Right.
that's just
Yeah, and I feel like I'm tooting everyone's horn, and I'm like, oh, all these podcast guests. But I had last year I had a podcast guest, Shelly in Freeport, Maine, who she owns a consignment store, and there's another consignment store also in Freeport, and they got together and they did a fashion show, and it was all thrifted clothes. And I moved just before that, so I missed it. But oh my gosh, how cool is that? Like just to show how much is available and how fun that is. And oh gosh, and the quality is so much better when it's thrifted. Like it's already like, one, it's already bought and worn, but it's like the it seems like the more technology we have and the more stylish these days, like when you're it just has to be done faster, and it's just the quality is just not as good.
If I may just add on that, it's on purpose. To be fair,
Ah,
we have the word planned obsolescence in the
yeah.
fashion. It is a plan that the garment doesn't last more than 3 washes, so you have to replace it. It's planned. Otherwise, you wouldn't buy. If you only buy stuff that will last you forever, you don't need to buy. You know, and that's what kind of what makes me so mad, to be very fair, because the fact that it's planned and the fact that especially those trendy items, that are literally just like the cheapest polyester and it's sewn so badly, and that's so on purpose because they know they are even dosing on like the micro trends, because we have like different levels also on trends in the fashion industry, and they're literally picking like new and upcoming rising designers, and they see, oh, they are on trend right now, so they're copying this designer. What is so heartbreaking, because so many small designers go out of business immediately, because as soon as they have an item that goes viral, you have it copied for cheap, but they are well aware that this is not a big trend. They know they will only produce a minimum quantity because it's a trend for like a day, or as long as this TikTok video is going viral, what is like at maximum a week, right? So this trend is supposed to last for a week and not more.
Oh my gosh. Victoria, can I ask you a question? Who do you think they is? Who is they?
They, in a sense of who are the brands? Who
Maybe, I mean, who is the they that is choosing what's fashionable? Who is they?
Well, currently it's actually artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is scanning through all the social media platforms, and so as soon as they have a post with a lot of engagement, they immediately pop up in, for example, the marketing or the merchandising team, and then they know what to do, and they know that they need to copy this trend immediately, and then they go directly into production and directly,
AI?
excuse me.
It's AI?
Well, yes, because AI has the capability of scanning multiple social media platforms at once and detecting a trend immediately.
Oh my
And
gosh.
who are using it are obviously like the big fashion brands that you already counted on. We have Temu, we have Shein, just to give some names. Um, but yeah, they really made it their business to detect every micro trend. And we used to, like there used to be this rise of Zara and H&M and like those kind of big conglomerates, but even they are now getting more expensive because Timo and Shein is also scaling their business, so super fascinating to see, because we used to have haute couture, prêt-à-porter, and then mass market. And now in the mass market, we have several levels of different fashion brands, and they're all fighting each other. But to be fair, also the luxury fashion brands are even also in the mass market mix currently, because they're also using the cheap clothes and they're also not paying their workers fairly. So they all kind of copied each other, and Timo and Shein are just kind of the all stars right now, because they realized on how to use the principles of Zara and H&M and just do it 10 times as big.
Oh, that's so
It,
sad. And so that's heartbreaking, really. I mean, what is how all right, so you're currently in Italy and you're studying right now. What are you hearing about? I mean, clearly you just heard about guests, which is very cool. But what else can we be looking out for?
well, especially the rise of AI is a big theme currently. Bless you. But simply because we're kind of really investigating the technologies, and we're really looking at problems that we have, and try to find innovative solutions. So, for example, one problem that we have is we have all this post-consumer waste, where we're talking about the landfills, but we also have pre-consumer waste. So you need to imagine we have, like those large like squares of textiles, and those squares of textiles are obviously transformed in our clothes, but we never use the whole square, right? And then if you have, for example, a quite complicated garment, you probably have several squares until you reach the perfect pattern in order to finish that garment the way it's supposed to look. So the vast amount of pre-consumer waste that we have is often not even accounted for. And now we're trying to find new ways. For example, here in Prato is the biggest Italian manufacturing city. They're literally doing all the big Italian brands. And they found a new process on how to turn this pre-consumer waste into new fabric and new fibers. So that's amazing, right? Because
Yeah.
they say it's still clean, it's not have been used or anything. So they're really sorting the pre-consumer waste into materials and colors, and then they literally shred it, and then they turn it into new fibers, new yarn, new fabrics. So we have recycled wool now, or recycled cashmere, so that's amazing. And then also, when we talked about all the waste that is coming together while trying to find the perfect pattern,
Mhm.
is also really amazing, because with the help of AI, we can actually create a 3D garment virtually. And with the 3D garment, we can have the perfect pattern. So this whole try and error thing that creates so much waste is, getting excluded, because we can do it in 3D on our laptop, have the perfect pattern, do it once. And also, obviously, it's extremely important that how can we use this square as much as we possibly can. How can we put our patterns, and not just here an arm and and here the back, but how can we lay it so we use as much fabric as we can possibly can. So this is really amazing. Also, then I've talked to an app who are doing body scans, what's actually pretty cool, because as I realized, a lot of people order like 3 4 different sizes because they're not quite sure yet which size fits them perfectly, what is understandable, right? But the thing is, if you could scan your body, try it on virtually, and then know what's your size, this whole thing of shipping and returning and all of that, that's also obviously causing CO2 emissions, could also be removed. So I'm staying positive, I'm staying hopeful, and I'm having a lot of hope and a lot of faith into new technologies.
That would be a game changer for sure. Oh my gosh. To know
Right.
exactly what size you need to purchase. Because that, there's also like depending on the brand and the whoever's making it, like the size could be different. And
Yep.
and that's why we have to buy, 2 or 3 different sizes. Like, well, do they run big? Do they run small? Um,
And it's literally like just within Europe, like a German 36 is a different 36 in Italy, it's a different 36 in France, it's a nightmare. Yeah. I mean, they could really like work on really just like utilizing that for the world, and then just being clear about it.
right? Yeah. How about just one size?
No, absolutely, absolutely. For me personally, I think I just had numbers in my brand. I just had numbers, because like for me it was very important to have very big sizes, because that's what I thought was very rude in the fashion industry. Like we all need to be super skinny and actually unhealthy and never eat and just feel weak all the time because we don't have no strength because we don't eat. That's not really the goal.
Amen.
Um, yeah, no, it's just facts, and as someone who's working in the fashion industry since I'm 15, let me tell you, I've been there, right? And it's just not healthy, and it's just not sustainable for your mental or your body health. You will literally eventually just collapse.
Yeah.
Facts. But the thing is also, what I found so rude is that um, a person who's not an XS, an S, or an M deserves to feel beautiful in their skin and in their body, period. And if you don't provide your beautiful clothing in that size range, you're simply not inclusive. you
Amen.
know and I just thought it was so bad, because I love oversized clothing. I just adore it, right? So I was always on the hunt for a 6XL, a 7XL, because I just adore the look of it. It makes me feel more comfortable in my body, because I don't feel like I need to suck my tummy in. But the problem is, every time I saw the designs for the bigger sizes, I was in shock. I was just like, are you for real? Are you literally for real? Like, this is not fair. This is not fashionable, and you're not even trying to be fashionable for the bigger sizes. So what are you doing here, right? So I don't want to be, too much in that, but it's just little points, that we just need to pressure the fashion industry to become more inclusive, more sustainable, and I'm just very hopeful that with those tools we can actually reach that goal.
Wow, Victoria, you've given us so much information. And so I just love the passion that you have. I mean, there's so much inside of you, and there's so much, there's so much to come. Like, you're going to school, so you're going to be on the forefront of all of this. But thank you so much for all of that. When I say the word sustainability to you, what does that mean?
For me, it's my purpose, my future, the reason that I'm here. For me, sustainability is literally, I feel like in the past years, we've taken so much from Earth. And my mission in my time on this earth is to clean it up and to do everything in my power that we don't create more, and that we find more innovative solutions, like more materials, right? We have like orange fibers where you have like, or the orange juices, where you only have like the juice and what happens with the rest of it, and now they create a fiber out of that, right? So I think we need more materials, we need sustainable innovations, we need to stop just extracting everything from the earth and leaving nothing behind, because we have future generations to come, so God will, and I want to be able to give them the best and greenest and most sustainable planet I could possibly give them.
That's amazing. And so we could be looking for that with House of Dodos.
I'm trying my best, obviously. Well, for me, it's just like, my values, only biodegradable fabrics, is already helping a lot, being very transparent. So for me, House of Dodo is an outlet for my creativity because I do adore fashion, but really just kind of showing the way, to be very fair. I don't consider myself a top-notch designer. I will never be. But I think I can show others the way by just doing it. I don't want to just talk or blame or point fingers. I want to show. And by having my own brand, I can show ways on how to be sustainable and how to build an inclusive and sustainable brand. And if I can just inspire one or two people with that, then I think I did a good job.
Oh my gosh, I love that. How can people find you and follow and learn more from you?
Obviously, House of Dodo has an Instagram. My personal Instagram is VCN Scholz. You can find me on LinkedIn, Victoria Scholz. I'm always happy to have a conversation. I'm always open for any kind of question. Send me a picture of your old T-shirt and let's figure out how to make it cool again. I'm honestly always honored if people approach me and just want to talk about it, because that's literally what I'm here for. So always welcome.
Oh my gosh, you heard it here first, you guys. Be in touch with Victoria and let's make the clothes last longer and do better. Oh my gosh, so good. I just want to take a second to thank my guest again for speaking with me and sharing such great information. I love having these conversations with folks. I also want to thank Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast, for Jane Bolduck and her music genius, for Becca Coffron and her award-winning artwork. And thank you for listening. I appreciate that so much. Please check out the show notes for any links and extra information. And if you would like to follow my guest and find out more about them, I'm sure they would love the follow. And if you don't mind leaving a rating or review wherever you're listening, and just help to get this podcast in front of new eyes, that would be amazing. I would really love that. And feel free to reach out to me on the socials and let me know what you're thinking. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please let me know that. I would love to have a conversation with you about sustainability. All right. Thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of the week.
There'll come a day, my hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, how do I get there from here? 'Cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound, yeah, to find me. We'll find a way to soothe the sickness. We'll heal the ache with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here and now I'm so far down, and mercy's bound, yeah, to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, yeah, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder,